Hey, good morning, everyone. Uh, just for keep track of attendance, um, actually, let's do a quick check-in. So, what I like to do is a number check-in. I like to do some of my classes. Uh, so we're gonna do a number check-in. So, on a scale 1 to 5, how you guys doing? 1 being, it's not that great. 5, you're amazing. 3, you're kind of like, it's okay. And 2 and 4 are kind of like different spectrums. So using the chat box, tell me how you guys feeling today. So on a scale 1 to 5. See some threes, some fours, maybe a 1, which is a hope things pick up for you. And it's good because I use this for attendance too. So make sure you comment. I see some 2s, some 3s. Not so good, I guess. All right. Um, let's get started. So it's good to see everyone. Here's our agenda today. Oh, someone just coming in. And I'm also recording the session, like I do every week, just in case you guys want to go back and look at anything we're done. All right, so if you look at this, some people ask me like, "Oh man, Mr. Tom, we're behind. Like, how do I catch up on work?" Well, every week I keep track of what we do. So going back to a couple weeks ago, you see what we did in class, and then you see what we did for homework. So that was the week prior to that. The only thing is, I didn't add today's, and it's the wrong agenda. Oh, I added the wrong agenda. Okay, so let me fix that real fast, so it's not confusing. Author's composition. Okay. That's why someone asked me. Yeah, I should just say author's composition. That's why you guys are confused with the what. All right, let me fix that. Okay, so what are we doing today? Today is 10-2. And what we're going to do is usually we review what we did last time. We're going to review the homework, so which was Jon Stewart's speech, and I'll show it to you guys. I'm going to show you guys some notes, and then for homework, all you have to do is turn in notes. Okay, so that's our agenda for today. It's not too much. I didn't give you guys that much just because we're moving towards the end of our first unit. If you go to Unit 1, Rhetoric and the American Dream. So we're gonna almost end this one, and we're going to start a next one. So if you're falling behind, this would be the perfect opportunity for you to start catching up, because if you look at, I slowed down the assignments by a good amount, and that gives me a chance to grade everything and gives you a chance to catch up to what, if anything, you're missing anything. Okay, so last week, this was the only assignment. All right, so what you needed to do was watch Jon Stewart's speech, and actually we're gonna watch it right now, and then we're gonna talk about it. So if you click on this, well, what you were supposed to do, if you click on it, like similar signs from the past. Uh, let's see if it works. All right, so it looks like this. What you're supposed to do is add your name, and as you watch the speech, write down what you think he says, explain what it means, why it's important. So let's look at this together.
Uh,
This speech, it's 10 minutes long. It was given at during I think last year or 2 years ago. So I gave the context before. Back in 9/11, there were, I think 2,000 Americans that were killed because of attacks that happened on 9/11. More Americans were killed or died because they gave up their lives trying to save the people inside of the buildings in the two towers. What you saw was the firefighters and police officers. They rushed in. They rushed in, and I showed pictures last time. They rushed in. Um, there was, unbelievable amount of smoke, right? So imagine running into like a building like this, and you feel that smoke in your stomach. So what happened was after all those years, like imagine seeing this, all those firefighters and police officers who rushed in, they started to get sick. So years after, because of that smoke, because of all that dust that entered their system, they started to get sick. They started to get cancer. For a while, the government wouldn't give them funding for health insurance, for healthcare. Later on, they did. And then what they noticed, they only gave them a certain amount of years of healthcare. By 2019, that healthcare started to run out. And as the people started dying, they weren't getting any benefits from the government. What Jon Stewart, who's a comedian, he's an activist, what he decided to do was go to the Congress and speak. So actually, we're going to do an in-class thing right now too. Let me click on. So go to Unit 1, Week 7. We're going to do an in-class assignment that you guys are going to follow along with. Add assignment. Oh, actually, no. Well, probably we do have notes. So we're just gonna do this to save you mana together. Don't worry about that. All right, very powerful. Once again, if you came in a little later, what you're supposed to do last week was watch that and then choose quotes that you thought were powerful or you liked that were strong. So some people did it. I'm just gonna peek at someone else's. I'm not sure if it lets me. Oh, it's not loading. Is it loading? Yeah, so if you would see what Brian did, I would add a little more Brian, because what we're doing is like it's a little too short. But yeah, so that's something he said. Definitely remember these are quotes, so you want to put quotation marks. The official FDNA response time to 9/11 was 5 seconds. So you put the quote. What do you in the mean section? You're supposed to interpret this. That's how long it took for the response to an urgent need from the public. Good. And then this matters because for an emergency like that, it shouldn't take that long. So yes, that's what he's saying. But really, what he's saying is it took 5 seconds for them to respond, and it's taking Congress a long time to even look at what's happening. So yeah, that's what you're supposed to do last week. Let's look at one more person's. Erica's. So she put the quotes. The breathing problem started almost immediately, and they were told they weren't sick. They were crazy. The author means that after 9/11, the firefighters started to get health problems, but no one believed them. This matters because if they would have listened to them, things would be. So yeah, so essentially that's what you're supposed to do. You should put a quote. What does it mean? Why does it matter? So that was last week's homework. Powerful speech by Jon Stewart. So last week, instead of reading a text, I wanted you guys to look at a text. I thought it would be interesting. Okay, so what we plan to do today, let me update this. So it should say author's composition. We are going to look at a notebook. We're going to take some notes today, and then from there, we are going to just practice turning in a notebook. So the notebook we're going to do is an online notebook. If you go to week 7, someone asked me questions about it. I moved it to today. Click on notebook check number 1, and then you'll see something that says Avid Digital Notebook. If for a different class, like if you're in one of my Avid students and you already have a notebook, then you could just add pages. You don't have to download it again. But for all my other students, what you're going to do is you're going to click on it. And what it's going to lead to is, I don't know why it's so slow today. Okay. It's going to lead to a file that looks like this. So once again, if you already have a digital notebook, because I know if you're in my Avid class, not that many of you, then you can reuse it. All right, so what you need to do is so follow along so it's easier. Go to week 7, click on notebook check number 1, and click on this yellow document. And I'll wait a second. See, some people are clicking on it. Let's see. Cool. Some people are clicking on it. I'll give you a second, so just in case. All right, click on it, and it should create a file for you. At the very top, change the name. So you're gonna put your name. So for example, if my name is Karen Vasquez or Erica Vaidez, I'll just put my name. My name is Austin Top, right? And then we'll put English 11 and then save digital notebook, right? So that's what you want to name it at the very top. So once again, you're clicking on it. Some people have it. Cool. And then click on this right here, or change it to English 11. Might have to resize it just a bit. A little too big. Cool. English 11. From there, you're gonna type your name. So my name is Nelson Talk. So you put your name, don't put my name. So if your name is Vanessa Sagaste or Stephanie Mejia, you're gonna type your name. And then you're going to type in the class, which is called author's composition. Or it can be English 11, right? It's basically the same name. So author's composition or English 11. So far, so good. Let me double check. Some people have it. And if you have any questions throughout, you ask me by turning on your mics or the chat box, you can talk. So see people looking at it. Yeah, it's kind of lagging for me, but So that's what you did so far. So far, we changed the name of the top part. So it shouldn't leave it as digital Avid digital notebook. You should say your name, the class English 11, and then digital notebook. So change the title of it, just so when it saves, I see it. Next, you're gonna change the name. So put the name of yourself. So you put Nicholas Cervantes or Joshua Padilla. And then you put the class, okay? And then right here, it shouldn't say Avid. I want you to put English 11. And then the last thing I want you to do, we are going to customize the background. So if you right click on the background, or if you even click background, right? I want you to customize it. So choose image. For me, I'm going to choose something I find online. So I am a big fan of Marvel. Like I love like Spider-Man, and stuff like that. Right? Cool stuff. Those are very cool pictures. Let's go. Oh, actually, I'm a big fan. I love the Lakers, and the Lakers are doing well right now. Oh, and Kobe. Yes, definitely Kobe. Kobe. All right. Cool. So I customize this. I put the name of the class, I put my name of class again. I change the section, and then you don't have to add a photo, but just learn a little bit about you guys. This is a very unusual time, so I don't get to meet everyone. So we're gonna add that part. All right, that's the front cover. I'm gonna give you guys like a minute to catch up real fast, and then we'll move on. So make sure you edit the front cover so that you have a custom. It says your name, the English 11 notebook. You have up it says English 11 here. It has your name of class, and it's up to you. But I prefer for you guys to choose like a custom image for your background. And the way I did that was I clicked on this, I clicked background, I put choose image, and then I chose an image from the internet, Google search one. Right. So I don't know. It's kind of here. I'll choose another one. Kind of hard to see. I'm gonna change this color to a different color. Maybe wood. Cool. All right. So here's my notebook. Hard to see this one. I'm gonna change that color. You can customize this to your liking a little more too. If I change this to white. Yeah, I'll move this up here. All right, depending on the picture, it might be a little more difficult to see, but part of it is just so we have a little more personality to your notebooks. So I did everything right here. I changed the title, I changed the name right here, and then I put up my own background. Let's look at some of yours if you guys were able to do it. Wow, my computer's really having trouble loading all of this stuff today. Yeah, so some of you guys are working through it. I'm gonna slow down a little bit so it's not too fast. Yeah, I see, Joshua, you have a, what is that? Is that from, is that Yoshi? And you have the Kool-Aid guy as your thing. That's funny. But yeah, Joshua, you're doing it perfectly right. So awesome. Let's look at someone else's. She just hasn't opened it. Georgina has opened it. Walter. So you put your name on it. So remember to change this right here. Change it to. Okay. So far, so good. We have that. And then we have this. The next few pages, it just shows you how to use the notebook. So on here, this is directions. So step 1, text boxes are already set up for you. Just click and type. You can keep the fonts, sizes, and colors which are designated fits, or you can experiment and change them. The samples below show you where your text boxes are formatted for you. So we're going to follow these Cornell note style, right? And I'm going to walk you through them today. These boxes, these are your table of contents, and I'll show you what we're doing and how to use it. So make sure you follow along and open up the document. So you can change colors and whatnot, but the structure of the notes, you want to hold on to it. Using the index, we're going to use it. I'm sorry, I'm not logging onto it. That's okay. I know things. Where is the notebook? Someone asked me. It's in week 7. So if you go to unit 1, week 7, click on this right here, notebook check number 1. Unit 7, notebook check. And then you click on this yellow, this thing right here. And what we did, we spent the first half of class customizing this. And if anyone misses anything, we're recording the session and you could look at it after too. All right, so what we have is an index. If you know how to set up a hyperlink, you can link a topic to its page. If not, you can use the find command for the Google Slides to find the page you want. All right, so we're going to mess with this today. This is index. We'll get to that right now. Steps 3 shows you how to do other things. So this index, we're going to do that right now. Step 2, go to this first one. So page 8 is our first page index. So we are going to look at this. Our first page of notes is going to be on page 12. You should look at this. Slide 12 is going to be our first page. So don't add an additional page that might mess up the order of things. So let's go to our index. Can you repeat how you add the picture? Oh yeah. So if I click on this, click on the very first slide, and then you could do one of two things. You could right click and click on change background, or you could go to right here where it says change background and then choose an image. And the image I chose, I typed in Google image search, and you upload one from your computer if you want. You know, the one I just typed in, I typed in Kobe, and I just clicked on Kobe's name, and then it added automatically into the page section. Okay, so far so good. All right, so that was page 1. For page 2, we're doing an index. So what the index is basically a table of contents. The first thing we're going to do today is notes on rhetoric. And it's kind of big. Or take away. Let's take away notes. So rhetoric. It's on page, and we put page 12 because it's right here. So it's on page 8, we wrote notes on rhetoric. What we're gonna do is highlight this whole thing right here. Highlight this. And then I'm going to, you should see like this chain link up here. It looks like a chain, a link. Insert link. Or if you want to, you could also highlight it, right click, and click on link. So it's going to ask you, do you want to insert a link from the web? What we're trying to do is make it easier for you to find your stuff. So there should be, once you click on link, there's a button that says slides in this presentation. Click on that. And remember, we said it's going to be on page 12, so we're going to link it to page 12 and hit apply. What that does is every time I click on this, and I click on that, is going to take me to page 12. Okay, so far, how do you guys feel about that? Is it slow down? Explain that again. Or is it good? Is there any thumbs up, thumbs down? If you guys look at your thing, you give a thumbs up, or it's good. It's good, Joshua, Mr. Yoshi, yeah. So far, so good. Can you explain that one more time, please? Okay. So what we did right now is create a table of contents and contents. Sorry. And the way we do that is, so I went over here, and I'll erase it to show you again. All right. So our first topic that we're going to look at is rhetoric. Right? Rhetoric, and then which page I want to look at is our first page of notes is you look at it, it says 12, and I'm just gonna put rhetoric here. Rhetoric. Today's dates is 10. You're confused. Okay. All right. Follow along. I'm trying to go slowly. All right. So we have our notebook. All we did so far was we created our first page. We haven't done anything else yet. That's it. That's all we've done so far. The point of setting up the index is so it's easier to find your stuff. So as I said, on page 12, we're going to set up our first page of notes, right? We know it's 12 because you look down the line, there's numbers on your slide. All right, so we go here. I typed in rhetoric because that's the topic of our notes today. And then I'm gonna type in page 12, right? So type in rhetoric and page 12. What you then need to do is, you see it's highlighted already, or it has like a section around it. We're gonna click link, insert link, or you could click right click link. So two options, click on this link button, or I could click on link. It opens up a text box like this. We're not going to link it to like a website. Where we'll link it is to itself. So click on slides and presentation, and then go all the way down and hit slide 12 and apply. Oh, it's kind of, so maybe I should erase that part that says page 12. All right, so now what happens is if I click on this, it's going to go to page slide 12. Okay, cool. Steph, I'm glad you got it. And the reason is, so in the future, it just makes it easier for you to get things. So for me, I know that our notes might take up 2 pages. So rhetoric, page 13, right? So our notes might take up 2 pages. So I click on this one right here, I highlight it, click on link, click on slides, and click on 13, apply. So we have notes right here, and then it might go to 13 too. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Some other things before we get to our actual notes is, so we have our index, and that should show you how to use it. So if you're kind of curious, we could import graphics. So when we're taking notes, you could import things that are making sense. You could create more pages. I included 16 pages and 7 color pages, but you can. You just click on any of them that you like. Someone asked me, where do I find this? When you, we've been doing this the whole period. All right, so right here, Unit 1, Week 7, notebook check number 1, right? Unit 1, Week 7, notebook check number 1. So if you missed anything, I recorded the session and you can look at it. Okay, so let's go back to this. So there's different color pages. Let's say you don't want to use the white pages. What you can do is copy and duplicate it, and it'll go over. But so for right now, let's just use the pages given. Okay, so we have this one. You could create more text boxes, add sticky notes. So right here, I included a bunch of Post-its. What you can do is click on these Post-its, right click and copy them. And that's just for fun if you want to add more stuff to your notes. Like you could paste it on here and like give yourself something to think about later. It's up to you, but the goal of it is just to kind of make this seem like we're actually taking notes, right? All right, let me help you guys set up what we're doing today. So go to page 12 on your notes. And right here, type in rhetoric notes. Let me make it a little bigger so you can see. Rhetoric notes, right? So today's date is 10/2/20. The class is English 11. Even though it's the same notebook, we want to fill this out. Your name, so my name is Nelson Tall. All right, so if you look at this, we're taking Cornell note styles, and that's the way I like to do it in my class. The way it is we do notes here, and we do questions over here. All right, so today I'm going to show you a PowerPoint on notes, and I'm going to walk you through how to take notes on this. And then from there, it's up to you to figure out the rest of it. Are we good to move on? How do you zoom in? So if you look on, there's something on the bar right here, it should say zoom, 20%, 100%. I zoomed in for you guys, so it's like 200%. Cool. All right, let's go back. So leave your notebook open, and I don't know your situation. So Erica, looks beautiful. We're gonna look at these set of notes. So you could download the PDF, or you just click on this link. Right. So if you go back to week 7, if you click on it, it should lead you to. Let me type in my password. You gotta be logged into your LHD account. Okay, so we're gonna take notes today. All right, so this is the topic of our notes. It's rhetoric, but specifically it's ethos, pathos, and logos. So here is our essential question. If I go back to our notes, oops, I don't want to zoom in. I don't want to zoom in. Sorry, I'm stuck on the zoom button. Okay, so right here, we're gonna put our EQ, our essential question, right? So on your own notebook, get that ready. Go to questions. Usually you have it up here, but it does not fit. Put essential question, EQ. It stands for essential question. So essential, that really means what is our main topic for today? And what I want you to do is write this EQ. How do writers and orators use rhetoric to effectively get their message across? So you go to yours and put that same thing. How do writers and orators, I forgot what I said, use rhetoric. Use rhetoric to effectively get their message across. So that's our EQ for today. Write that down in the questions part. All right, so that should have been enough time for you to copy that. Let's kind of get started. Okay, so this is, we're for you guys. I'm gonna stop every once in a while to kind of get you guys like a understanding of what we're doing. So we're going to take notes on here. Let me make this a little smaller. At the same time, I'm going to show you this PowerPoint, right? And I'm going to walk you through this note setup. All right, so here is our presentation. And if you ever want to look at it, I included a link to it and a PDF of it. All right, the first thing you guys need to know, objective versus subjective. So in your notes, put down the meanings of it. So objective and subjective. We're just playing with this right now. All right, so objective means not influenced by personal feelings or bias. Subjective means influenced by personal feelings and opinions, right? So in your own notebook right now, you're gonna type that in. This is how you should look. Objective means not influenced by personal feelings or bias. Subjective means influenced by personal feelings and opinions. What that means is, depending on the situation, you want different things, right? So most of the time you want your teachers to be objective. You want police officers to be objective. You want judges in the courts to be objective. What that means is you don't want them to have their personal feelings or bias. Even if like a teacher or police officer hates you or doesn't like you, you don't want them to use that hate to guide their opinion, like, because it might arrest you, or they might give you a bad grade just because they don't like you. And it's not fair. That's not being objective. Subjective is when you're using your own personal feelings to affect your decision. So let's say Nicholas and Angel are friends, right? Nicholas and Angel are friends, and Nicholas gets in a fight with Juan. And I go, Angel, did you see what happened? And then obviously, you know, Angel might be like, oh, he's like, oh, Nick's my friend. So like, yeah, Juan, I saw Juan, he was pushing Nicholas, and it's his fault he started it. What he's doing is being subjective, right? He's using his personal feelings to guide what his thoughts are. Key thing to understand is the difference from facts and difference from opinions. I'll put this picture right here. So these are oranges right here. The fact, being objective is telling me the facts of it. These are oranges. But over here is I love oranges. This is being subjective, right? You're using your feelings to affect how you feel. All right, so over here, what you would do was objective, not influenced by personal feelings or bias. And then subjective is influenced by personal feelings or bias. All right, so far are we good? Because I'm gonna go a little faster now. Let me know in the chat box. Are you guys good? Should I slow down? Stephanie's good. Anyone else? You guys okay? Because then after that, I'm not gonna go back to this. All right, so cool. The notebook is we're gonna take notes on these for the rest of the period, right? We have about 30 minutes. What I want you to do is use pages 12 and 13. So you might have to fill up 13's heading, the heading for 13 again. Is you're going to take notes using these 2 pages based on our presentation today, okay? So what you should have is you should have your notes open, and you should have the PowerPoint like somewhere in a corner. Hopefully you're using a computer. All right. So we went over objective versus subjective. The key thing is you want people of power to be objective, because if they're controlling your life, you don't want them to use their personal feelings to target you. So like a judge, you want the newspapers, like the media, you want them to be objective, right? The newspapers should be talking about facts rather than sharing misinformation or disinformation. Subjective. We want opinion pieces to be subjective. Sometimes we want our friends to be subjective, right? If you ask your friends like, hey, do I look good in this outfit? You kind of want them to lie to you a little bit. Sometimes you want them to tell the truth, but subjectivity is you're using your personal feelings to influence it. One of the key things, and I hope you remember this and walk away with this idea, rhetoric. Rhetoric is the art of effective, persuasive writing or speaking. Rhetoric is the art of effective, persuasive writing or speaking. So write that down in your, type that out. That's the basis of what we've been doing for most of the semester. We've looked at speeches, we looked at some videos, and all persuasive writing and speaking for what? Page 12. Yes. So we talked about this right now. Someone messaged me. Yeah, we're going to keep doing the notes right now on page 12. Yeah. So, for example, press return. Rhetoric. The art of persuasive reading and writing. Right. So that's what you should be doing. Oh, and speaking. Speaking and writing, right? And then once you're ready for the next section, hit return. Okay. And what you can do too, if you want, I'm happy to do this later, but you can highlight stuff, make it more interesting. Like it pops out. All right, so rhetoric is the art of effective persuasive writing and speaking. Everything that we looked at, from the John McCain speech, to Obama speech, to the Jon Stewart speech. Actually, I didn't mean to put all males, but yeah, those are all rhetoric. But other things are rhetoric. Commercials are rhetoric. When people are trying to sell you things, when you're trying to convince your parents to let you go outside, that's rhetoric. You're trying to be persuasive. The difference is some people's rhetorics are better than others. And what we're going to try to learn is what makes someone's speaking or writing better. First person we talk about. All right, so you put this in your notes. Obviously don't copy everything, but just copy the key things of who this person is. Aristotle. He is a Greek philosopher. You don't need to know the key things about his life, but maybe a little about who he is. Key thing, he's a Greek philosopher. He made significant and lasting contributions to nearly every aspect of human knowledge, from logic to biology to ethics and aesthetics. Though overshadowed in classical times by the work of his teacher, Plato, a very famous person too, from late antiquity through the Enlightenment, Aristotle's surviving writings were incredibly influential. An Arabic philosopher, he was known as the first teacher. In the West, he was the philosopher. So, key thing, Aristotle is a Greek philosopher, and he was known as the first teacher and the philosopher. And keep in mind, if you miss anything, you have access to the documents. You don't have to write this down, but it's key to understand this. Aristotle said this: there are then these three means of effecting persuasion. The man who is to be in command of them must, it is clear, be able to reason logically, to understand human character and goodness in their various forms, and to understand the emotions, that is, to name them. So going back all the way to Aristotle, which was from 2,400 years ago, he says, for someone to be good at arguing, to persuade someone, to convince people of things, they need to be able to reason logically using their brains, understand human character, and then understand emotions. All right, so that's what we're going to study today: ethos, logos, pathos. We've talked about it many times, but we're going into a little more detail today. Don't worry about this. The first one we're look at, and you put this in your notes. So if I were to go here, first you had notes about Aristotle. He was a Greek philosopher. Greek, philosopher. That is known as the first teacher, who said effective persuasion required logic, character, and emotion, right? The first thing we're gonna look at today is ethos. All right, so it's for you guys to keep track of. I'm not gonna always go back to this, but the first thing we're gonna look at, ethos. Why should I listen to you? So the appeal to credibility is known as ethos. Ethos is a method of persuasion in which the speaker or writer attempts to persuade the audience by demonstrating his own credibility or authority. So I'm gonna leave that on the page for a second. What they're trying to do is to build their own credibility, to get you to understand, get you to listen to them. Why should you listen to them? Right? So their credibility, you might have heard that before, is their reputation, their truthfulness, right? There's different ways to do this. And remember, if you miss any of this, you can always go back and look at the presentation. I linked it. So examples of this. An arguer's ethos is an arguer's believability as she appeals to the audience. Do you believe the speaker? Does he or she seem credible? Do they seem like an expert on the subject? If someone speaks to you and about health, about medicine, and they're wearing a white coat, or they said, my name is Dr. Gonzalez, right? You're gonna listen to them more. That's how they build the credibility. However, if someone walks up to you and they're dressed like in jeans or whatever, and they're very young and they're just like, oh, well, you should do this with your health. Like, maybe you should listen to them. They might know what they're talking about, but at that moment, they don't have credibility, right? Ethos in TV commercials. So when a commercial uses a celebrity, a sports figure, a famous musician to advertise their product, they often seen as authorities. So when people use like LeBron and he's selling like a car, or you see Travis Scott selling McDonald's on TV, that is ethos. They're using someone else to build their credibility. What they're trying to show you is, oh, wow, I like Travis Scott. If he eats McDonald's, I want to eat McDonald's. So I want to show you this. Don't worry about the sentence or anything. All right, so you just saw a commercial about ethos. What happened in that commercial? Anyone? What happened in that commercial? Who's in that commercial? Who's the main person? They use Drake? Yes. So what are they saying? What's the purpose? Why do they use Drake? What are they trying to say about Drake? What are they trying to say about Drake? Oops. To build credibility to their company. Use Sprite makes them feel the vibe. Yes, that essentially that's what they're trying to say. They're saying, look at this famous guy. This is like Drake back in like 2015, skinny Drake, right? What they're trying to say is Drake uses to make the so that's ethos. That's a way to use ethos, right? So they're trying to persuade you to buy Sprite by showing you Drake. Cool. What I want you to do on here is, so after you put the ethos, right? So you have ethos, the use of credibility. Character. All right, so I want you to put example number 1. We'll call it Drake commercial. Answer this question. I'll put it here. I'll put the question right here. What is the purpose of using Drake? Okay, so for you guys, you should have something like looks like this. But let's look at the first commercial. What is the purpose of using Drake? So what I want you to do is write a complete sentence. I want to look at your notes. I want to see a complete sentence for this section. when you look at it, I'm gonna give you a second, but write a sentence right here. What is the purpose of using Drake in the Sprite commercial? What are they trying to do? I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. I'll put some time on the clock, and I'm gonna select some people to share afterwards. But answer that question. And so when I look at your notes later, you're going to be able to, I should be able to see it. So I'm giving you like 2 minutes to really think about this. What is the purpose of using Drake in the commercial? And you want to type it out here. So for example, the commercial uses Drake. Drake, or you could start out your own way, but I'm going to let you answer that. All right. Um, you seem like you know what you're doing. How, Stephanie Mejia? What did you put down?
All right, I put down the reason why they used Drake in the Sprite commercial was to gain publicity and to get Drake fans to buy Sprite because, quote unquote, he loves Sprite.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem I have was the quote unquote part because they don't say that. But one of the things they do say is it sparks the spark, right? They're trying to show that Drake is used to spark. What if you guys can? Let's highlight that. You can choose a color. It's up to you guys. This is your notebook, but I'm gonna choose orange. All right, cool, good job. All right, so after that, you write your sentence down. I should see a sentence on your thing. The next thing we're gonna look at is take pathos, and I know that for sure. Pathos, and we might be running out of room, so that's why we opened up a second page too. Okay, so oh no, that's not it. So watch this slide. You
Yo, what's up? I'm just not feeling it.
Sorry, as Drake commercials playing without me knowing where. I have no idea how to turn that off or where that's coming from. Cool. All right, let's just do. I had to refresh it. All right, so today it's taking a while, but I just wanted to make sure we understood how to do this before we really get into it. All right, when you come back to the notebook stuff pretty often. All right, you see this happen a lot in advertisement, right? So this thing, you usually have like someone dressed up in a white coat with a stethoscope. They're just trying to sell you some sort of like medicine or brand. If you see someone in a commercial, you know for sure they're actors. But in your brain, the fact you see them dressed up as a doctor, you're like, oh, maybe I should listen to him. You might be too young to know who this person is. This is Ozzy Osbourne. He is selling butter, which is ridiculous. I have never made a butter decision based on who was selling it. So it kind of shows even back then, they used doctors even to sell things that they weren't supposed to. It says more doctors smokes camels, right? So it's saying that doctors, even doctors, smoke these are cigarettes. You see that a lot. Anytime you see a commercial use a celebrity, or if they do something like this where they're wearing a white coat, they're trying to build their own credibility. If I started out speaking and said, I've been teaching for 7 years and this is why you should listen to me, right? I'm trying to build my own credibility. Okay, our next one is pathos. Pathos, if an arguer is using pathos, they're trying to tug on your emotions. Argues pathos can influence your positive or negative emotions. So whatever you write down for pathos, it should relate to emotions and how it affects your emotions. And it could be positive, it could make you happy, or it could make you sad. The one example I bring up in the corner right there is a lot of times you see on TV, there's commercials about shelter animals, and it's usually real like sad, like music playing in the background, and you see like the puppy dog eyes, and it's saying, you know, for 50 cents a day, you could, you know, help this animal, right? Or you see like commercials of people that are starving in third world countries, and it says, you know, send 19 cents a day and you could help a little Jimmy get some food, right? The point of those commercials is the purpose to persuade you is to make you feel sad, make you feel an emotion, right? They're not using logic, they're not using ethos, they're not building the credibility. What they're doing is trying to get you to feel emotional. And that's what we call an appeal to pathos. Pathos. The example I have down here, it is about how after 9/11, and we talked about it before, people were angry. They were afraid. They're afraid of more terrorist attacks. They wanted more security. So what would happen is Congress passed some bills, one of them called a Patriot Act, which allowed the government to look at people's emails or phone calls or text records. And the American people let them do that because they were afraid of more attacks. So they gave up their freedom, some freedom for security, which is an ongoing debate. All right, I'm going to show you two commercials. What I want you to do is the same thing we did with the ethos commercial. We're going to call it, so let's go back. What you're going to do is there's pathos. I'm going to go up a little bit. Pathos, and there is example number 2, example number 3. All right, so this is the last thing we're gonna do today. You're not gonna submit it, but I just want you, I'm gonna check up on your notebook. The way I check on it, look at this. So if I click on notebook and I click on in progress, I could see everyone's that's working on. So let's, for example, since she's been so awesome today, I'm gonna click on Steph's, right? So I could click on what she did. Well, you don't even have to submit it. Just the fact that you opened up the document, I have access to it. So this one is right so far. And yeah, I can see what she's doing and she's following along and it's perfect. So you don't have to submit it yet, right? Don't submit anything because we're not done yet. But I'm letting you know, I do have access to see if you guys are, if it is open or not. So Paula, oh, this looks beautiful. And then, yeah, so she's following along. Example, yeah, perfect, right? So we're gonna look at the last two commercials and then we're gonna leave. All you have to do is make sure you're just caught up with the notes right here. And then you have everything from all this stuff. And I included links to the presentation, you just need to click it. and make sure you do a summary. Do not submit the notebook. All you want to do is, because we're not done with our notes yet, is update it. All right, so that's all we have for today. Keep in mind, our only homework is to make sure you're caught up with our notebook from today. And then next week, we're going to add more to it. So it says it's due next week. Ignore that. And you can just change the date so it doesn't confuse you guys. All right, so we're gonna take more notes next week. I just wanted to take it very slow so you guys could to catch up. All right, if you don't have any questions, I will see you next week. Please catch up on your homework. If you have any questions, please stick around. If not, it was good to see everyone. See you, Stephanie. Nicholas, you asked me, what do we have to do under Chevy? You have to explain how that commercial is using pathos to sell a product. You guys have any questions? Okay, I'm going to stop.